Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and while we just talked about Uber losing $1.4 billion, the truth of the matter is Lyft is also not profitable, although on a far lesser scale. According to an article by CNBC, ride-hailing company Lyft's on explosion of sales growth in the first half of the year, according to a reporting information. The revenue was $483 million, up from $150 million last year, although the numbers aren't quite apples to apples from an accounting standpoint. And the net loss for the company was $206 million, down from $283 million last year. In other words, Lyft revenue was up 200% from the year ago period, and sales in the first half of 2017 exceeded the revenue from the entire 2016 period. Now, as they pointed out, that's still like a drop in the bucket to what Uber brings in. Uber brought in about $20 billion, but then they lost $1.4 billion as well. And what we got to take away from this is, there's a few things to take away from this. First of all, it shows that neither of these companies are profitable. And I know that they've done studies like, if they raise the rates, they're essentially in a game of chicken. If Uber raises the rates, drivers will flock to Uber, but then passengers will flock to Lyft, and then Lyft will, have all the prime time, and customers are just going to get pissed off, and you don't want to piss off customers, but here's the bottom line. Neither of these guys are making money. They just aren't. And no one wants to be the first one to pull the trigger. And Uber doesn't want to pull the trigger because of reasons I'm not entirely sure. Lyft doesn't want to pull the trigger and raise their rates, obviously, because so long as they don't screw up, they're better than Uber. Most of their growth has been on the sheer basis that Uber screws up so much. They screw up so much that that's what Lyft has been growing on. And I think that's a dangerous thing to fall into, because Lyft needs to innovate. They need to be different than Uber. I mean, essentially, you have to have, when you have two services, there has to be like a distinction on why you should use one service over the other than, well, it's surging on one platform and it's not surging on the other. Now, I know that for some people, that's all the reason they need, and in all fairness, let's face it, we do it too. We check the apps, whatever is cheaper, that's the one we use. But Lyft has got to do better than that. I mean, it's definitely nice that they have seen a 200% increase in sales. And unlike Uber's increase in bookings, Lyft has lost less money, but they're still losing money. Now, of course, here's the good news. One of Lyft's investors is Google, and a $206 million loss for Google is not... Okay, I should clarify. Google doesn't own Lyft, but now that Lyft has the backing of Google and can kind of go there to raise capital for their company, yeah, Google could easily cover this as long as they need. So long as the losses aren't exceeding, I'm going to say, $600 million, I think Google will be happy to pay it, especially since they're in this heated battle with Uber. The thing with Uber doesn't have a backer that could cover a $1.4 billion loss every quarter. Heck, Google loses more money in a week, I think, on YouTube than they would on Lyft in the entire year. So, but for both these reports, it does need to be stated, and I know passengers are not going to like this, but the rates need to go up, not only for us, but for the companies. These companies literally will not survive if the rates don't go up. There are expenses to everything, and those expenses are not being met because the rates are so low. And I know people are going to say, oh, well, I will stop using the service if you raise the rates. And the answer is, no, you're not. You're going to continue using the services. What are you going to do? Go back to the taxi? I've been through this before. I have been through this before. And you know what? No, here's all this, with all the studies and the statistics about the dangers of raising the rates. Here's the thing. I lived through Netflix's 40% hike. Blockbuster was still in business. And Netflix raised the rates from, like, they used to give you the DVD and the streaming service for $10 a month. Then one day The DVD and the streaming was $18 a month. Or you could just do the DVD or just the streaming for $10 a month. And people canceled in droves for a couple months. But what was the alternative? To go back to Blockbuster? No, they went back to Netflix. And now nobody even remembers the price hike, to be honest. And now Netflix just did a couple price hikes and people barely flinched because that's just the way it is. So Lyft and Uber both need to raise their rates, but neither one wants to do it because that would give the other a competitive edge. Never mind that I think that there's got to be a way, and I've got ideas on how Lyft can differentiate themselves from Uber, and obviously I'm more willing to help out Lyft because they're just a little better in my opinion. But, so anyway, this went on a little bit long. Oh, it's only 6 minutes, but still, this was supposed to be like a 3-minute video, so I'm sorry about that, folks. But what do you folks think? Do you think these losses are manageable, or do you think Lyft needs to be careful? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member for $1 a month. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.